Okay, I'm going to show you a new type of bowl that I've been doing lately. It's not, the bowl shape is reasonably new, but what I've been doing to the lip is sort of a new thing that I've actually just started to do this week. So I'm just going to get going by throwing a general bowl shape. You know, starting out making a bowl is pretty, the initial stages are pretty close to what you would normally do for a taller cylinder. Just gonna make a cone. If you get the wiggles, I'm gonna bring it back down. I'm gonna press just off center and slightly, this hand is slightly angled so that I make a bullet shape. I'm gonna bring it back up into another cone. I feel like this helps prevent twisting in the cylinder as I go. Okay, start to center at the top and move it down. By the way, I'm starting out with 5 pounds of clay here. It's sort of a standard medium-sized bowl that I would throw on a normal basis. A couple different sizes, 3, 5, and 8, and then if I want to go really big, then I'll go larger than that, but that's for later. Okay, center your bowl in a normal fashion, a little wider than it is tall. Don't start out with a really tall centered thing, or else it's going to cause you problems later on. You probably won't be able to drop the hole quite centered. So keep your wrists low, keep your face above the clay, and use both hands to press down. Again, I'm not putting any pressure on the outside. If you pull back just a little bit, it will open up on the center. You drop the hole, make sure you leave yourself with enough clay for a foot, about a ½ inch there. Don't worry about the little hole you poke, it'll go away when you compress. As I open it up, I'm going to open it up into a curve, just like all of my other bowls. The curve doesn't have to be perfect when you open it. It just has to be higher at the edge of the wall than in the center. And then I'm just going to compress that clay into the center and create that nice curve at the bottom there. Make sure you compress really well. The way that I compress is I take a little bit of the clay from the wall, I move it into the center, and that really helps from having cracks. Okay, make the volcano, just like you would any normal thing. Throwing on the wheel, do it slowly, don't try to rush it. You want to just kind of squish the clay. Don't try to lift the clay. I'm just going to squish it in. Okay. Now I have a groove on the inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to pull across the curve, and when I get to that groove, I'm going to lift up. Outside. Do a knuckle pull. So I hail a cab, move this finger forward, and that's the surface that I'm going to be using right there. Press the center. Grab onto the groove and lift the clay up. When I get to the top of the cylinder, I'm going to stop right below the lip, so I leave a significant amount of clay there. For any bowl, really, you need to leave some clay there, because as you stretch it, it's going to get much thinner. Make my groove on the outside. Because I'm going to make this a bowl, I'm going to let it go out just a little bit. The thing you might notice is I have a really narrow base. You might find that you need to leave a little bit wider base, or else your bowls might fall over. This is sort of my standard thing, and I've sort of gradually made that base narrower and narrower so they don't have to trim as much clay off, but feel free to leave just a little bit more clay there if you need to. Remove the excess clay. Always remember to remove the excess clay before you shape it. Once you shape the bowl, get that width out there, it's going to be a lot harder to remove that excess clay. All right, I'm going to compress the walls. I have my trusty kidney rib on the inside, my metal rib that I altered slightly on the outside. Okay, elbow in, this is pulling back, this is sort of pressing forward, and they're right across from each other. Don't try to do this quickly, you want to kind of do it slowly like you would be pulling the clay. Okay. Compressing it, smoothing it. Some people like throw rings. If you're one of those people, feel free to leave them. I don't particularly care for them in my work right now, so I remove them. All right. At this point, I have a bit of clay up here in my rim. I want to compress a little bit more clay into it and make it sort of flat because of what I'm going to be doing later. So I'm just going to take support around the rim with your left hand, brace on your leg. I'm just going to take the side of my finger, press down, give myself a little bit of extra clay there. The more I do with the cylinder as it is vertical, the less chance I'm going to have of collapsing it later. All right, so as I've shown you before how to shape a bowl, you're going to start at the top, you move the shape out, and then you move the shape down. Okay, again, I'm not ribbing with my right or my left hand as I normally would with a taller form. I'm actually ribbing with my right hand, supporting the cylinder with my left. Okay, move the shape out and move the shape down. Now, I'm not really looking for a lot of width in this particular style of bowl. So that's about where I'm going to leave the rim. Okay. I don't want to put a ton of shape into it quite yet because I still need to deal with this rim. Okay, this is my chamois. It's attached to a very handy little bobber so I don't lose it in my slip bucket. I'm going to dampen the rim here. Okay, so the chamois slips. Okay, hold the chamois between your index finger and your middle finger on both hands, and they should be facing each other. This is going to wrap around the cylinder, and I'm just going to use, okay, if we can get it, it's kind of floppy little guy. I'm going to use my thumb, I'm going to press down the rim with my thumb and kind of split it. So this is a lot like you're going to be doing with lidded forms when we get to lidded forms in galleries. Gallery is the place where the lid sits. So this is sort of like the opposite of a gallery. So it's on the outside of the piece. A little bit more. Sometimes with these split rims, you're going to have to reset and give yourself a little bit more slack with your chamois because how that works. The surface area sort of going to lose all that slack in your chamois. Okay, now I can put all the shape that I really want into the bowl. Okay, I'm going to take this rib. Again, this is just sort of supporting the clay. It's not really doing anything. I'm going to push out with the bottom part of that. I'm going to kind of belly that out. Now you can see, because I have the clay cantilevering quite a bit, cantilevering is just sticking out unsupported into space. Because I have this shape right here. If I were to try to do that that split rim at this point, because I'm putting so much pressure on the rim, it'll probably collapse underneath it. So that's why I did that before. Okay, now I'm going to shape the bottom part. Remember, you're shaping the inside of the bowl, and you're going to trim the outside of the bowl. Don't pay attention. I don't pay that much attention to the outside when I'm making the bowls, because it's really this is the only thing that matters. I mean, it's going to matter later, but you're just going to trim all that clay away. Okay, compress through the center. the center. I was going to use leather rib, but it seemed to work just fine. All right, I'm going to make sure that I do have a little bit of a belly here. So like this top part of the clay is really what matters here. So I'm going to belly that out just a little bit. So I only have 5 minutes left, so I got to hurry here. Now I have the shape on the inside. Now, you can freehand this, you can do it however you want, but I'm going to use this because I have it. This is just a measurement tool you can buy at your local ceramic supply. And now I'm going to take, this is just an old paintbrush that I left in a bucket of water and all the paint kind of came off. I was using one of these earlier. This is a newer paintbrush that was left in the water, but the paint, it still had paint on it and it was damaging my rim. So I'm just measuring out 6 even spots on here. You could do 5, you could do more than 6. Okay, got them all? Got them all. Yeah, that's right there. Okay, now I'm just going to take this paintbrush. I also have a dowel for smaller ones. I'm just going to take the paintbrush, I'm going to support on the outside like I do a pitcher. I'm going to pull up. My paintbrush, I'm going to let the wheel go around. So this is sort of like the opposite of what you would have done for your pitchers. And now, I'm going to moisten the inside of this rim here. And I'm going to support on the outside, kind of the opposite of what I just did. I'm supporting that spot where I pushed up. I'm just going to use my finger and move it side to side and push that rim down. So I can get a lot of nice movement with that. It's going to look a little rough with the slip on here. And I can clean that up when it starts to get a little bit more leather hard. You don't have to do this with your bowls. This is just something that I'm showing you. But there are other ways of doing things instead of just completely round. All right, so that's pretty much it.